Hey friends, how you doing? It's Charles here, and gonna do another video talking. I'm lifting my weights, doing my thing. Kind of become a tradition, makes the time go by a little bit faster and pleasantly. But I want to start off by saying that I am no professional when it comes to mental health and chronic pain, or too much of anything. What I am is a man who has been disabled from a work accident for 16, 17 years. Have been through the ups and downs in the ringer of dealing with chronic pain, disability, and depression. And I have the scars to show for it as I look, including my teeth, which have, taken the damage of antidepressants and other medications that help me survive. Um, to you name it, I've been there. So I understand, and I just want to share a little bit of what has gotten me to this point of surviving with chronic pain, because as you know, it's not easy. And a big part of that, the most important part, is purpose. When I was younger, my whole thing was you go to work, you work hard, and your name is the most important asset that you have. And so that when you go to work, you're putting your name on the line and you're protecting that. And that's the most important thing in your life. And when I got hurt on a work accident and I couldn't work as I had, it sent me into a depressive spiral. First, I denied it a lot. I did a lot of work trying to get back into the traditional workforce. I did over 2 years of physical therapy, nearly 2 years of occupational therapy, applied for every job that I thought I'd have a remote possibility at. Jobs who mere months earlier I was overqualified for, so I thought. And I went through a lot of rejection. And even after 2 years of physical therapy and being told multiple times I was at maximum medical improvement, which is at the point to where the doctors decide that you're no longer going to be getting better, we're just going to go into maintenance care, I was still telling friends and family that didn't know better, oh yeah, I'm going to be back. Just a few more months of therapy, a few more months of this, and I'm going to be right back, because I couldn't come to grips with being a disabled person. And that did really two things. One, it created this false hope in me that would never be realized. And two, it strained a lot of relationships, because I was telling all my friends and loved ones one thing, and they were seeing something else. And it was either I was lying to them or myself or both. And either I was getting better and I wasn't working, or I wasn't going to get better and I was working them. And so it created not only tension in my own headspace, but in my relationships as well. But when I finally did get into therapy and start getting my life right and start getting my head right around this, I realized that, if I was going to continue to live, a fruitful life, I had to have something to put my hands to, something to get me out of bed every day now that I couldn't work traditionally. And so that started with, first of all, asking myself what I want and finding out who the real me was, and, not trying to fit into a mold of what anybody else wanted, because that was so much of my life, was working and then spending my money on being socially acceptable, on things that even I necessarily didn't enjoy, but it was, something that I was supposed to enjoy. And so I sat down with myself and I asked myself, okay, well, what do you want to do? And I've always been a big nerd, especially professional wrestling. That was one thing that stuck with me ever since I was a kid. And one thing I always wanted to do, but was too scared of the judgment, was be an action figure collector. And, after I got hurt, it was like, I've been through the ringer of the denial, the depression, and on my way up, and I'm like, you know what? Why not hop in. And it took my nephew to get me going. We were at a GameStop. I was buying something for my Xbox, and he picks up this action figure in a discount bin, and I I look at over I look over at him and I mockingly say, "Oh, what's that cheap nerd stuff?" He's like, "Yeah, they have a Brock Lesnar here." I'm like, "Oh, wait a minute." And I saw the price, so I brought my first action figure, which led to another and another, and which led to me, connecting with a community online of great people who love to collect action figures. And I've always said, and I stand by it, the best part of collecting isn't the actual purchase. It's the community. It's hunting something down. It's trying to get the best price. It's the anticipation. And it gave me something to set my mind on, even on days when I couldn't really do much else. When I couldn't walk, I could always browse Instagram and YouTube and talk to people about this shared hobby that we had. And that led me to get into comic books, which has been really a truly life changing thing for me because I was always on the go, on the go. And all my entertainment was either visual, audible, or some kind of combination of the both. But as a society, we really don't read much past our Instagram feeds. And so when I first got into, comic books, that was, first thing it did is it got me to reading again. And that really, I don't know, I'm not a pro, but I think reading does something good to the brain. It improves your cognition, your reasoning, all kinds of good things happen when you read a book. But I remember, my big part of my COVID recovery after I first got COVID was reading because I had a lot of cognition issues and a lot of vertigo and balance issues. And sitting down with the book and focusing on those words helped me to get my mind right again from COVID. And I realized one day that, these two passions of mine, these silly little things, collecting action figures, reading comic books, were things that helped me get to a point. They were just two tools I used, but two very important tools I used along with my exercising, which I've been doing for 3 years. But they were tools that helped me combat depression. And they were things that gave me hope and gave me purpose and gave me some joy and a light at the end of the tunnel. And so I decided, an extension of that purpose could be my YouTube channels. I have one channel that's Old Nerd Reviews Wyoming, where I review comic books, I review action figures, and I talk about nerd culture. And my hope with that isn't so much to be, I am too old and not handsome enough to be an internet personality. But I know that there may be a person out there struggling with a lot of things I did or other issues that can be blessed by these hobbies. And so I want to put these things out there in a palatable way in hopes that maybe if somebody's feeling like I did when I discovered these things, that it might bless them as much as it blessed me. And with this channel right here, it actually came out of I'm a part of a great, great Reddit community around chronic pain. And a lot of people seem to value my insights and what I share on there. And like I said, I'm not exceptionally insightful or smart. It's just like I said, years of dealing with this, and people seem to really be blessed by it, which in turn made me feel like I was contributing. So I actually restarted this channel. I started this channel years ago, but lost steam, and I really didn't have a particular goal or outlook or mindset for this channel. It was just kind of random musings of a crippled nerd. And yeah, recently, in the Reddit group, people were asking, about getting more information and, getting something more consistent. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back. I'm going to refocus this channel and I'm going to focus it on my life with chronic pain, how I get by, and, sharing my collection, my thoughts on culture mixed in with disability and chronic pain, my weightlifting, and everything that goes into keeping me a sane person dealing with an insane situation. And so that's why I refocused this channel and restarted this channel, because we need purpose. And when we find purpose and when we find something to put our hands to, it's like, yeah, these channels, people have said they help, but in turn that helps me and that connects me to a greater part of society. My previous job, it wasn't anything fancy. I was a convenience store clerk, but I did that for most of my adult life. I loved it. You get to help people get to work. They come through after work and, they want to get some junk food or something to put a smile on their face after work. You did, getting gas, getting whatever they want, whatever they need. Some people would just come in just for that conversation and connection. I felt like as a convenience store clerk, I was step one to a lot of people's day. And so I took that with the point of pride, and it was my way of giving back to society. And I hope that these channels can do the same for me. But that's the point. You got to find something when your livelihood and when the life that you expected is taken away. You have to find some way to be involved in society because we're not meant for solitude. We are meant to be a part of something. And it doesn't matter if it's online, if it's in a small community group, if it's a text or, phone chain that you're involved in. We're meant to be interconnected. And so I encourage you as a disabled person, a person with chronic pain, or if you have one of these people in your life, find who you are, what you love, and how you can use it to give. Because that, to give is a way of giving to yourself that, you can't, it's hard to describe, but it's the feeling that you can only get from giving and from contributing. And also, don't take anything for granted, big or small. My hobbies, they seem frivolous at times, but like I said, it helped with my mental cognition, with the time I have on my hands. It helped me to connect to society because, again, I felt insecurity about my place in society because of my physical limitations. But when you're on a blog page talking about comic books, the ability to stand and walk isn't needed. And so it was a way for me to see myself on equal grounds. I'm always on equal ground. As a disabled person, we are no less valid, but we feel less valid. And so find out what you love and find a way to put that into action. And, even if one or no people watches every video I put out on either channel, it gives me something to look forward to. It gives me, I enjoy this time I have talking with the camera, be it, a more official, put together review on my other channel, or just this time to talk into the camera when I'm working out here. And even that working out, and it also can help get you back into society. One big thing I always talk about is I'm a musician and I love playing music, but before the pandemic, when I was playing, it became all about just the money because I hated going out and playing because, I had to have the leg injury, which led to a lot of staticness, not moving, which only added to the pain, and getting out and back into a gig was a nightmare. It just added so much pain. And I hated it. I hated playing music. But now, since I've gotten back into working out, since I've gotten my cognition right, since I've started connecting up with people again, I'm in better shape. So when I go out to play, it's not as big of a burden, and I can actually have a little bit of fun. So find your way of getting back into society. Find your way of enjoying life. Find your way. Find your purpose. Now that you are disabled, because life changes, but it doesn't stop. Anyway, I need to finish the shoulder workout. I ain't got much more to say about it, but you have an individual light and gift that only you can bring to the world. Find out how you want to share that and share it, and you will see that this life of chronic pain will become so much lighter. Anyway, y'all be easy. Thank you for watching.